helps. But all those houses, except for a few in between, have a rock seawall, and it helps. But they had no chance, because once these houses burned, and it went across the street, caught the telephone poles on fire. The telephone poles actually fell into the houses. And
you're referencing now the homes on the mountainside.
Once they went, the whole thing, it was on both sides, and then once it crossed over, it caught these telephone poles on fire. It was just a domino effect. There was no way to stop it. Also, the fire department was very smart about getting in between these fires when you got fires on both sides. So they were very smart to stay pretty much away from this area.
Now, were you here watching when these homes
were? I have photos of this one.
And when was this? What time?
10 o'clock last night, 9:30.
So this was one home here that we're looking at. I see the front door.
That's the gate to that one house, and there's Randy, my friend. Those are his cars right there. That's Randy's Jeep, the gray one that burnt. And I don't know whose car is behind it, but that's Randy's house with its chimney sticking up with the big retaining wall in the back.
So where is Randy?
I don't know. He works at a restaurant in town here, but I think he evacuated if he was smart.
Now, we had heard something about some people here in Malibu who were running to Dukes. You said that we're just south of Dukes. Running to Dukes, and that they had been burned in the fire and they were trying to get help.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear anything about that, but I know there's a lot of ambulances circling this area looking for people that potentially got hurt. I would be surprised if people, that there was people that didn't get hurt, because it was that bad. The Duke's parking lot's a staging area for the fire department right now, and also people have been bringing their cars down there and leaving them, so they have, a car still.
The cars appreciate your time. Thank you. On Christmas Tree Lane as well. Chief, thanks for the few seconds here. I heard there are fire extinguishers, or those haven't been able to get turned on or used.
No, ma'am, we're at a complete, we're losing water pressure up here. We have a lack of resources. The wind, as you see, is pushing it very violently, and the lack of water is a huge hurdle that we're trying to overcome, so we can save as much as we can.
So lack of water, like no pressure in the neighborhood?
All the hydrants have run dry.
Oh no. So what do you do now?
So we send our water tenders or our engines down to shuttle water from further away different hydrants that still have water.
This is bad.
It makes it challenging to do our job, but we're just up here trying to do the best we can for the citizens of the community.
Yeah, you guys are. I mean, I saw these firefighters, red-rimmed eyes, soot-covered faces. Residents that were standing next to them watching their homes burn because, like you said, there's just not enough resources.
It's heartbreaking to see, yeah. And we're up here and we're trying our best, and all the guys and girls, they work super hard to try and do this and save everyone's home and their businesses.
What was it like overnight? Can you tell me what you guys went through?
It was a very, very long night, similar to today. Lack of resources, lack of water. We're pulling resources from all over California just to kind of come and help us with this crazy windy that we haven't had in years.
I'm sure you were pre-positioned. We talk about those strike teams. You had everything.
You can't prepare enough for something like this if possible. I mean, we had 80+ mile/hour winds sustained, and you can't stop fires in that weather.
Are you stationed out here in the San Gabriel Valley?
I'm in Santa Clarita.
So you came from Santa Clarita. I mean, the Palisades fire. Hours later, you had Eaton Canyon around 6:30 just explode.
Yes.
Fires burning across the street.
It was a spark that flew and turned into a little fire, and then pretty soon you're popping and hearing the noises. It was horrible.
Curve ID and more than 200 of our community members are staying at the Pasadena Convention Center for now. With 4 wildfires burning already in Southern California, the region isn't expected to get a break from the weather anytime soon. Jill Replicable has more. Wind speeds in SoCal are expected to die down in the coming days, but
we still are going to have 20 to 40 mile per hour winds with local gusts of 50 miles per hour.
That's Alex Tardy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service. In other words, winds will still be dangerously strong through at least Thursday evening. Plus, it's even drier now than it was when the Palisades fire first broke out. As if that weren't enough, forecasters are expecting another Santa Ana event on Friday, with the highest winds expected around the Santa Clarita Valley west to Point Mugu. One more bit of bad news: no precipitation is in sight, at least for the next few weeks. For LAist, I'm Jill Replogle. As fires continue ripping through Southern California, residents across the region are being impacted by smoke. The South Coast Air Quality Management District is responsible for monitoring levels of air pollution. Scott Epstein, a representative of the South Coast AQMD, says there are ways to minimize poor air quality.
You can stay inside, windows and doors closed, run your air conditioning or air purifier. Avoid running things that can bring outside air inside, such as a swamp cooler or a whole house fan. If you have to be outside, an N95 mask could provide some protection.
Epstein also recommends locals download the AQMD app or go to aqmd.gov for the latest information about air quality as it changes. And we have more tips on how to stay safe at LAist.com. And you're listening to LAist 89.3. The time is 12:27.
Support for LAist comes from Universal Pictures, presenting DreamWorks Animation's The Wild Robot, written and directed by Chris Sanders. Nominated for 3 Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Original Song, Kiss the Sky, Original Score by Chris Bowers, and Animated Film of the Year.
Disney and Pixar presenting Inside Out 2, now nominated for a Critics' Choice Award for Best Animated Feature. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, awards eligible in all categories, including Best Animated Feature.
This is LAist 89.3. I'm Nereida Moreno, and let's turn now to our special coverage of the Los Angeles fires from our partners at KCAL News.
200 acres burned and hundreds upon hundreds of people evacuated. We're at the Pasadena Convention Center right now, and I just wanted to show you what it looks like just around the street. People keep walking in and arriving by the busload. Sometimes people bringing these U-Haul trucks to bring down donations. Some people actually in trucks when they arrive because they managed to pack up some of their belongings. But look at how many people are still streaming in here at this hour. So far, since they've been open these last 12 hours, it looks like there are some 1,200 people on the inside. And there are food donations coming in and out like this woman is just bringing. We're going to go in right now and show you exactly what's going on. You're going to see here in the hallway of the convention center a lot of people in wheelchairs in this section here, some in gurneys. This is because several assisted living facilities had to be evacuated. You know, the entire area along the foothills, a large section of the city already evacuated, and these people have been brought here. They are receiving medical attention, and there are care workers on scene here to help them. You'll see in the distance too, there are plenty of animals here, and this is such a wonderful thing. At this shelter, they are allowed to bring animals. The Humane Society is on scene to help them. You can see here on this pallet in front of us, in fact, that there is cat litter and food being brought in to take care of these animals. Back over here, the first exhibit hall A, right here is the only one that has been open so far, but the other 2 are about to be open. And out of respect for these people's privacy, we're not going to go inside there, but that's primarily where all these cots are. You know, we have spoken to a few people since arriving here just a little while ago, and take a listen to this woman's horrible story. Her name is Marina Solis, and she was here at the shelter last night. She did the right thing evacuating with her family. She lives on a property with 2 homes, her family and her sister's family. She left the shelter this morning to go see what happened to her house. Both houses.
A lot of dust, and it kind of seemed further away at the time. And I know our family was really lucky we got more time than a lot of other families did, but it kind of felt like, I don't know how to explain it, but everything was just like dark and smoky, and the air was just bad, and we just kind of went in and we grabbed what we could, situated our dogs, and then, yeah. But it kind of felt like, I don't know how to explain it, but everything was just like dark and smoky, and the air was just bad.
What were you able to take with you?
Just like comfortable clothes, a pair of shoes you could grab, like, you know, keepsakes from like family members who passed on before, because I think honestly we were kind of underestimating it.
It's such a horrible story, and that is one of more than 1,200 stories here in just this one facility. And you guys, these are just the people in this facility. There are countless others that have gone to families' homes or left the area to shelter in other ways until the immediate danger passes. Here, They're about to serve lunch. The Red Cross is helping out and providing food. Your home is...
My grandma's home is burnt to the ground. I'm just looking for my aunt right now, and I can't currently find her, so if anyone knows her, we're looking for her.
What's her name and how old is she?
Her name is Carolyn Burns. She's 57.
Okay, she evacuated on her own, and you're just trying to be reunited with her.
Yes, to see if she's okay.
I'm so sorry you lost your home. Did you see the fire come, or did you just see the aftermath?
I just see the aftermath.
But everyone got out.
So far.
And your fence and everyone.
We didn't have any fence.
Okay.
But so far they did. We're just looking for my aunt right now. As of right now.
Okay, one more time. What's her name?
Carolyn Burns.
Okay, and she can come here, meet you here.
Yes, if anyone knows anything, because their house is burned to the ground. Yes.
I'm so sorry. Talking to us. So you guys, it's really unbearable, the stories. All of these people living it and just thinking about it as they're waiting to find out what happened to their home. She unfortunately knows what happened. Many other people just trying to meet up with family members. This is the place to be. This is where authorities are. This is where help is. This is where food is, where cots are, where you can bring your animals. So please, if you need any help, come down here. This is the place to be. And maybe this will we can reunite her with her relatives. For now, though, that's Great Lakes Live in Pasadena. Let me send it back to you.
All right, Ross, thank you for that. And we're so glad that the American Red Cross is there for so many people. Now, the intense and powerful winds have really turned sparks into infernos. The speed that these fires have escalated is seen as alarming. Governor Newsom says fire season has become year-round in our state, despite this not traditionally being wildfire season, but it is now.
Yeah, so to help us understand the impact of this extreme weather and its effect on the ecosystem is Dr. Helen Holmlund from Pepperdine University. And first off, I want to thank you for joining us because I know that everybody in Los Angeles right now in some way, shape, or form has been impacted by this. How might the increased frequency of these fires themselves influence our climate?
Well, what's really critical here is that the intersection of drought, right? Because these severe winds are coming after a prolonged seasonal drought here in Southern California chaparral shrublands. Approximately 6 months is the normal seasonal drought for this region, but we are now looking at about 8 months since we've had any meaningful rain down here. So the plants are really dry, and it's getting worse because of low humidity and this current wind event is drying out the plants even further, which makes them easier to burn. Another thing to consider is the impact of past droughts, right? A lot of the area burning in the Palisades fire hasn't burned in at least 30 years. That time span is actually a fairly normal, healthy fire return interval, 30 years for the chaparral shrubs, but it means that the area hasn't burned since the historic drought from 2012 to 2018. That drought was really problematic for the chaparral because it actually killed a bunch of the chaparral shrubs. And chaparral shrubs don't normally die during the summer. They're evergreen, which means they're so drought tolerant they can stay hydrated with green leaves all year long. Chaparral shrubs, they don't have time to regenerate for the next fire, and when that happens, chaparral shrubs get replaced with these invasive annuals, and unfortunately, those invasive annual species, they die in early summer, they spend the summer dead, and so then they can ignite even more easily and contribute to even more frequent fires.
Let's talk a little bit about urban planning and how it can actually mitigate some fire risk in what are traditionally high-risk areas.
You know, I have to acknowledge I'm not an expert on urban planning, but I can talk about how Pepperdine has designed their campus to be as fire safe as possible. I really appreciate our Pepperdine leadership and our local fire authorities because they've collaborated to make this really safe environment for us, right? The campus was designed with fire in mind, right? Because essentially our campus minimizes that perimeter, that wildland-urban interface, because all the buildings are bunched close together. And of course, our landscaping team follows local guidelines for clearing the appropriate amount of vegetation, and that just makes our buildings much easier to defend during the fire because there's such a limited perimeter between the buildings and plants, and it's easier to defend. And of course, Pepperdine also keeps a massive holding pond on campus as a resource for the firefighters. So I think those aspects of Pepperdine's campus design really helped me feel safe when we need to shelter and place on campus. It is our policy.
You know, we talk a lot about what we
in working fires, and of course anything we can do to limit ignitions, right? Because most of ignitions are related to humans in some way, shape, or form, and the chaparral is not designed for frequent fires. They're adapted to fires being decades apart, and that would be good for us too. But it's just such a difficult intersection with the drought, which make the chaparral more prone to these massive fires, and so anything we can do to limit those ignitions is really important.
Right, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate your time and your insight, and what is happening at Pepperdine has really been amazing to see. Thank you.
We want to go back to our Joy Benedict, who is
live from LAS 89.3. I'm Nereida Moreno, and you've been listening to special coverage of the LA fires from our partners at KCAL News. If one of the fires forced you from your home and you need a place to go, here are the available shelters. Westwood Recreation Center on Sepulveda Boulevard in Westwood, El Camino Real Charter High School in Woodland Hills, Pasadena Civic Auditorium on East Green Street in Pasadena, and Ritchie Valles Recreation Center on Laurel Canyon Boulevard in Pacoima. By the way, you can take small animals to the Agora Animal Care Center in Agora Hills, and larger animals to either the Los Angeles Equestrian Center on Riverside Drive in Burbank or the Pierce College Equestrian Center on Winnetka Avenue in Woodland Hills. If you're planning on evacuating, we have tips on what to bring. That includes important documents, food, and water, and a flashlight. A full list is at las.com. We were on the scene at the Pasadena Convention Center today speaking to evacuees. Pasadena resident Socorro Salinas evacuated with her family early this morning the moment she got a warning about the Eaton Fire. She said her parents are also with her at the Pasadena Convention Center, and right now she's worried for her kids.
I was born in Pasadena 78 years ago, and I've never seen anything like this. It's so scary.
The Eaton Fire has now burned more than 10,000 acres. Evacuation orders are in place for areas in Pasadena, Altadena, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, and Sierra Madre. The dangerously high winds fueling fires across our region are expected to die down somewhat throughout the day, but are likely to remain strong through the end of the week. That's according to Alex Tardy from the National Weather Service. To add to the bad weather news, there's no precipitation in sight for at least the next few weeks.
The current pattern right now drives all the storms to our east across the Rockies and into Texas. So unfortunately, the first chance might be late this month.
And air quality has reached dismal levels across Southern California. Scott Epstein, a representative of the South Coast AQMD, says that locals should be aware that wildfire smoke is not the only thing impacting the air quality today.
So there's quite a bit of new dust from these high winds, and also ash that's blowing off of the burn scars from the fires that we had this summer. And that is much harder to smell or even see.
And you're listening to LAS 89.3. Stay up to date on the fires burning in SoCal at our website, las.com. We also have lots of information there about how to stay safe during this continued fire weather. The time is 12:40.
Jason Siegel, Harrison Ford, and Jessica Williams. More at fyc.appletvplus.com. Searchlight Pictures, presenting James Mangold, A Complete Unknown. Nominated for 3 Critics' Choice Awards, including actor Timothée Chalamet, supporting actor Edward Norton, and Best Picture of the Year. Awards eligible in all categories.
And this is LAS 89.3. Let's turn back now to our special coverage from our partners at KCAL News.
It hurt the efforts of the firefighters to get in and out of there quickly. I mean, we as the media, this is our job. This is what I am trained to do. But to have people just driving around already looking for your homes, as we heard that battalion chief say earlier in Jasmine's live shot, this is not the time. It is not the time to be doing this. If you are somewhere safe, we suggest that you stay in that safe location and let the fire department and the first responders do their job. And I mean, text me, call me, I'll check on your house. I've been doing it all morning for folks on social media. I am happy to do that for you if that is what you were worried about, but please stay in a safe location. I'll send it back to you guys.
Absolutely, Joy, and this is a perfect example. We see those cars coming through, then we see a first responder trying to get through. It makes it very dangerous for everyone that is involved. And
I tell you, when I look at these images, it's so heartbreaking when you see the buildings going up in flames. But then, Joy, when I see them already burned, I think, gosh, what is more heartbreaking, seeing the ashes and the devastation there, or seeing them up in flames? And it is just all just so heartbreaking. Thank you for showing us what is happening out there, keeping us up to date. There are a lot of cars going by, first responders, be careful. Check back in with you in just a little bit. Now we want to go back to our Michelle Geely, who is on Rambla Vista in Malibu, and well-known actor James Woods is, well, no, sorry, I'm reading here, Michelle. We're going to just stick with you, and I guess we don't have James Woods with you. We're just going to hear what you're seeing there.
Amy, you can see behind me a fire. The fire at the home next door, shooting water down onto it. It looks like they were able to save that stucco structure. Unclear what the home here was made of, but it's a total loss. And as we look across, we're just above Pacific Coast Highway. You see all of the homes along the ocean there that are gone. This is pretty much the scene that we've been seeing for the last couple of hours. In this neighborhood on Rambla Vista, there are some homes that are standing. You can see this one behind me here. This is at 21349 Rambla Vista. This other, it looks like a multi-dwelling unit here. There's a lot of black. I see a lot of black soot as I look through the windows. The structure is standing. A staircase that led up to either this home or the house next door. And then a couple houses down, we see that they have managed, those homes managed to survive. The cars are in the driveway. They look like they are untouched by fire. So just so interesting and curious why it is that one home is standing and the other isn't. I don't know enough about the neighborhood and the building codes and the things to really get deep into it, but we wanted just to come here and show you these pictures and share with you that firefighters are still going up and down all of these streets looking for flames and putting fires out as fast as they can. We were just at Duke's, which is a well-known place on PCH just below us there, and we saw some fire crews. It looked like they were in their trucks resting, catching up on some much-needed sleep, and there were also some classic old cars parked there that are intact, so perhaps the owners there raced down when the fire started and thought that maybe that would be the smoke started to clear a little bit, and we can see some blue sky, which is certainly a good sign. But then, you know, you come upon a neighborhood like this one. Again, we're on Rambla Vista, the 21,000 block, and homes are still burning. We see no residents up here. Thankfully, they are out, and the fire crews are able to make their way in and out. And there's that firefighter that I was referring to. He's back on the balcony. I'm going to have Tim Kimball show the firefighter Tim back on the balcony fighting the fire. Oh, now he's left again. So this is the scene here in Malibu, you guys. We're right near Duke's, and active fire still burning, piles of debris. You see the flames there.
You know, and Michelle, I think it's important to bring up what that resident, or the brother of a resident, said earlier, that the homes that were still standing on PCH were made of cement and stucco, and the homes that immediately went down were made of wood. And we just talked to, you know, a climate expert at Pepperdine, and I think that what we're learning.
There are going to be a lot of people that are rebuilding, unfortunately, after these fires, and something tells me that the homes will be built quite differently.
Yeah. Well, we want to turn now to well-known actor James Woods. He is one of the thousands of people who had to evacuate the Palisades fire.
Yeah, he broke down when recounting the last 24 hours of it.
When we couldn't get our garage door because the wind was blocking the split net because our door goes up like this, I said, oh my God, we're up in the hills here. And we got to walk out? I'm 77 years old, man. I can't walk up these hills. It's like Mount Everest here. It's like, pretty steep. So, it's just, wait, I posted this on X, but Sarah was on with her 8-year-old niece last night. She came out. I'm sorry. Just, one day here, the next day, it's all gone. And she came out with her little Yeti piggy bank for us to rebuild our house. I'm sorry, I'm usually, I thought I would be stronger than this. I thought I'd be stronger than this, but
It's so hard to hear that. And if you live in LA, it's this unique place that draws you in. And a lot of us, like I grew up in San Diego, but I've now been in LA as long as I lived in San Diego. And you have this sense of community here, even though it's such a populous place. And we listen to the people who lost their homes. And, it's not about the fixtures or the expensive things inside. It's that sense of community that we feel in our house, on our street, on our block. And when you lose that, it's just so tough to recover.
And so often, as we've both worked here for a very long time, we'll cover a fire. And there's so much devastation in our area.
And we can all see them, regardless of where you live. You can see the different fires, you can see that smoke. And Assignment Manager Mark Liu has been tracking it all. In fact, he was on with us yesterday when the Palisades fire broke out. And you're going to show us, because I think people might not realize, we still have very active fire activity.
We do, and I'm going to show you something that we haven't looked at yet today, and that's a different set of data, and it's from infrared imaging and heat sensing satellites in orbit. These fires that are currently burning in our region are certainly large enough and putting up heat plumes that can be seen with specialized equipment by satellites in orbit. And it's data that is available to view in the form of a website and a map, and I'm going to take you out to my screen now. What you're looking at here is a website called FIRS, the NASA Fire Information for Resource Management System, and it is a collection of data from satellites that can sense heat signatures on the surface. And what we're looking at here is the heat signature over the last 24 hours of the Palisades fire. Now, there's a lot of data to go through here. The lighter colors, these orange and almost yellow areas, that's fire heat activity from 6 to 12 hours ago. Moving all along, we are getting a look at the fire line by looking at these red squares. And you can see that even in the last hour, there were heat signatures in the city of Pacific Palisades here, where we expect that there is probably some very, very serious damage. Now, we can also see this activity over in the Eaton Canyon area, the Eaton Fire, and you can see this fire was extremely active in about 6 to 12 hours ago, but now we see the fire has broken into two flanks on either side. These red boxes are the squares that indicate that there was heat signatures just an hour ago, and Joy Benedict and Jasmine Beal were in these areas where we had seen the fire be so destructive. Entire area of central Altadena has heat signatures large enough to be detected in space. And the other issue that I want to talk about is how there's also another flank of this fire, and it is
Damage. They lost their entire back shed. Their neighbor lost basically the entire house, including 2 pet chickens and turkeys that they weren't able to take with them when they evacuated last night. So a lot of sadness and concern and shock about how quickly the situation happened. In terms of the damage in Sierra Madre that I'm seeing, it's barely above West Grandview and Auburn Avenue. There's several homes that have burned there. It's not as widespread as we're hearing with Altadena and Palisades, but definitely homes have the area, the canyon neighborhood, actually where I live, there was another plume of smoke happening there and a fire truck heading over by the time I was leaving. So reports of that canyon east of Auburn potentially having some damage as well.
And you're very familiar with the area, as you just mentioned. You had to evacuate yourself, right? Tell us what happened.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so last night I got home from work here, and I could see the flames up on the mountain as I was driving along the 10. And when I got to my house in Sierra Madre, I could see that glow and actually see the flames up on the mountain, and the winds were just so gusty. And I live in the canyon, what they call the canyon, the lower canyon. So it's, you know, a small area, small roads and little cabins, and I felt concerned that we were in evacuation warning, not evacuation a mandatory order yet. So I could fit in my car and was luckily able to book a room in a hotel in nearby Arcadia, and all my neighbors also ended up evacuating as well. That evacuation warning pretty quickly turned into an order, and that order remains in place.
Got it. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope everything is okay. What will you be watching as this continues to unfold?
Yeah, I'll just be keeping up with the officials. You know, there's a lot of rumors out there, a lot of people insert. You know, I think I'll be just thinking about what's we need to wait and see, right? I'm also going to be concerned because we are hearing from the National Weather Service that winds are expected to pick up again tonight. So we'll see what happens there. But at this point, all I can do is wait and see, and I'm just hoping for all the folks that were so directly impacted that they're okay, and that we'll focus on recovery once we get through this.
For sure. Well, stay safe out there. Thank you so much for your time. That was LA's climate emergency reporter Aaron Stone, and you're listening to LAist 89.3. The time is 12:58.
Support for LAist comes from Disney, presenting Moana 2, awards eligible in all categories, including Best Animated Feature, now playing in theaters.
Universal Pictures, presenting the film Wicked, directed by John M. Chu and starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Nominated for 11 Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Picture, now playing in theaters.
This is LAist 89.3. I'm Elisa Moreno, and you're listening to special coverage of the Los Angeles fires from our partners at KCAL News.
We still have wind gusts west of Los Angeles between 53 and 56 miles per hour. It's above 50 miles per hour still in Santa Clarita, Simi Valley, and Malibu. It's above 40 miles per hour in Riverside and Chino and Santa Ana. That said, in a few specific spots, things are beginning to would be in and around Altadena. At that one specific reporting station, this is the lowest number that I've seen in the past 30 hours. That would be a 19 mile per hour wind gust. That said, just west, we're still looking at 39 miles per hour in Burbank, 54 in Santa Clarita and Silmar. So the wind is still there, but in a few specific spots, it is beginning to markedly decrease. One of those spots is not Pacific Palisades. In and around the Palisades and Santa Monica and Brentwood, west to Malibu, north across the Cameo Valley up towards Simi Valley, the winds are still anywhere from 39 to 53 miles per hour. So we're heading toward having the winds calm down. We're off of the peak, but by no stretch at all can we say that the winds have relaxed to a point where these fires will not continue to spread. High wind warning expires at 6 o'clock. That is because typically the winds will relax during the evening, right after sunset. Sunset's a couple minutes after 5 o'clock. So we're already seeing the winds taper down a bit. Then we'll get to sunset, and then after the sunset times, we will likely see the winds relax out of the warning threshold at 6 o'clock. It'll still be breezy to windy overnight tonight, but it won't be as bad as it has been, where valley wind gusts have been up to 75 miles per hour. It's been up toward 100 miles per hour for the mountain. Now we have to go another day, perhaps another 2 days, before we get rid of the red flag warning for critical fire conditions. Why? Because even if the winds are 15 or 20 or 25 miles per hour, a little bit more manageable, the source of our air is still coming from the north and northeast. It's still an offshore wind. It still hasn't rained. Relative humidity will still be low, so even a breeze will keep the fire danger elevated. And we may see winds pick back up to 40 to 50 miles per hour coming up on Friday. The biggest problem is this, the almost complete lack of rainfall. You now have to go back to 1964, 61 years ago, the last time we were this dry.
This is LAS 89.3, KPCC Pasadena, KUOR Redlands, KBLA Coachella, and KJAI Ojai. And you are hearing special coverage of the Los Angeles fires from our partners at KCAL News.
Water years ago, we had double the average rainfall. Average is about 14 inches for a winter for us. Then, last year, we had 25 inches of rainfall. This year, 1/6 of 1 inch of rain since October 1st. Everything is so dry, and then it got so windy, and the fire danger is so high. And guys, even though the winds are relaxing, that's great news, that's wonderful news. We are nowhere close to saying the fire danger is gone, because it's not. Back to you.
Paul, thank you. All right, now at 1, you are watching our continuing coverage of the wildfire disaster happening across Southern California. We're simulcasting on CBS Los Angeles and streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. So here's what we know right now. The Palisades fire is now the most destructive wildfire in LA County history. An estimated 1,000 structures destroyed and more than 11,000 acres burned. Now, we do not have an exact number, but there was a significant number of residents and first responders that have been injured.
Now, the second largest fire we're tracking is the Eaton Fire in the San Gabriel Valley. It's burning in the Altadena area, and we're learning today that 2 people have died and more than 100 buildings have been destroyed. But the good news in all of this is that firefighting planes and helicopters, they have resumed their flights after being grounded overnight because of the winds.
Yeah, a third and smaller fire is burning in the Sylmar area. It's called the Hearst Fire, and it's currently at 700 acres with no containment. There are evacuation orders and warnings in place for all 3 of these fires. Now, the air quality for most of the Los Angeles metro area is at a hazardous level, and there are power outages across the area. President Biden attended a briefing in Santa Monica this morning, saying it's going to take time, talking about the recovery effort.
We want to go back to our Joy Benedict, who is at Glen Rose and Harriet in Altadena. And Joy, you've been crisscrossing the area here for the Eaton